Hello there, hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. In this video, we're just going to be doing a kind of like a live exercise. Well, it's not real live, it's recorded, but I wanted to demonstrate the power of ChatGPT and how you can utilize it for your own learning experience and just for other manners. In our case, we're going to be doing a website utilizing Python and Django framework, and we're just going to be going through the steps and how we can utilize the AI for our learning experience and what we can basically learn from it and what are some of its mistakes, its gaps, and we can basically just understand to see what we expect from AI both right now and in the future. So let's get to it. Alright, first a little bit of a disclaimer. I did already ask ChatGPT regarding how to create a website utilizing Django framework just to get a feel for what its recommendations are and also just to understand a little bit better. So what it's gonna do is, since ChatGPT is run on CNNs, it basically has different layers of understanding, and it also has a memory module to basically remember your preferences of what you have asked, depending on if you have an account or not, and also it goes like initially you have free credits to use on ChatGPT 4, and then once those are out, it'll go to ChatGPT 3. And that's another thing. Some of the more up-to-date nuances with Python and its language framework could be discovered with ChatGPT 4, but ChatGPT 3 will be limited. As far as I honestly don't remember the year that it's up to, that it has trained. So that's going to be very, it's not going to be very different, but you could see some of the differences here and there. All right, so we're basically just gonna go ahead and just step right into it, and we're gonna go ahead and ask ChatGPT, can you help me create a web app using, well, actually let's not do using, using Python. Now it's already gonna know that I prefer Django framework, so I'm just gonna go ahead and utilize that. And as you can see, it's basically, you could just think of it as like your own personal tutor, or your own personal tutorial, per se. And we're just going to go through some of the steps, and we're going to ask you questions, we're going to modify it just to get through that exercise of actually seeing how to utilize ChatGPT for your own learning experience, basically. And as you can see, it just keeps on going, and once it's done, all right, looks like it's done. So first things first, we're just gonna go ahead and start with the pip install Django. Now I have already installed Django, but I'm just gonna go through the notion here as well, and I'm just gonna do pip install Django. You do that by doing Python-M, which we instantiate the module here and there. Now, the second thing, what we're going to do is we're going to modify it a little bit. We're not going to use Django admin. And so basically what I'm going to do is, can you modify the web application to not use Django admin and instead just use Django? So it's gonna basically go through some of the processes, and it's actually there are gonna be a couple hiccups here and there, and some of the stuff that you could do, you don't actually have to go ahead and do this, but as you can see, these are some of the options that you can do. And one of the benefits to basically utilizing this is, if you already know the framework, if you already know the language itself, that you're going to be able to see what some of the mistakes are, some of the things that you could basically improve on, and some of the things that that could help you out. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait until it's done just to get a feel for it, and I'm gonna go ahead and request we also make another change, because one of the things that we could do actually here is that we can do Python -m Django help, and what this we could do is start project and a start application itself. And what the ChatGPT is going to do is it's not going to basically utilize that for this, but however we're gonna go ahead and just basically ask it to modify it. Can you modify the web app using start project? Let's just do Django start project, and we could go through some of the more iterations, as you can see, and hopefully this time it still does the Django admin start project. So I'm gonna actually stop it there, and basically, since I am familiar with this, and as you can see, some of the things are, different, and it's not perfect, and that's one of the things that I wanted to demonstrate here, is that even though you could be asking all these questions, you could be like, hey, you're gonna need to go ahead and I want you to go ahead and create this, create that, and stuff like that. But if you don't know the framework, if you don't have that experience behind, how to utilize the AI, how to utilize the language, and etc., then it might, you might need to go ahead and do extra learning here and there. And that's one of the things that I wanted to also demonstrate here with AI, is basically it's not perfect. And there's a saying that I really like. I honestly forgot who said it, but computers are the stupidest, smartest things there are. They are basically as smart as we make them, and as stupid as we make them. So as the artificial intelligence itself gets trained, with different models, machine learning models, and etc., it's gonna get more smarter. It's gonna get more robust. It's gonna be a little bit more technical. But in this case, as you can see, there are some faults. There are some gaps here and there, and I just wanted to demonstrate that how you can utilize AI, but at the same time understand that there are gaps that you're gonna need to go ahead and fulfill. And as long as you understand these gaps here and there, then you're gonna be basically, then you can utilize AI to its current fullest. So let's go back here, and instead of doing a Django admin start project, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do Django start project. And what I personally like to do is I like to change any kind of tutorial. If I'm following a tutorial or if I'm learning something and there's like a guide, I like to change the project names or any kind of a name that is given. The reason for that is that if you change it, and if you follow it, instead of doing a copy paste, then you'll start to be a little bit more familiar with what you need to go ahead and change. And I tend to get a little bit much better out of it, basically by changing some of the code here as well. So I'm gonna do stuffed code web, and we're gonna go ahead and basically, it should be Python -m, because we want to go ahead and do it. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us the structure basically for the base of the project. And then as you can see, it basically go ahead and created some of these for us. So instead of actually going through it and making a making a directory and etc., it's gonna be, you could think of it as like a helper function per se that's built in, and it's basically gonna, as you can see, created some of them. Well, I think created all of them, right? Should have created all of them. There's the my app part that's missing, and we'll get to that here in a minute. So this creates the project, and then it's basically saying, yeah, you could basically go ahead and run the the Pi server, and you can basically go over here and see the default Django page. You could go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that here, and we're gonna go ahead and just start taking a look at creating an app on Django. And before we do get started on here, what I'm gonna do is I am gonna basically just ask, hey, let's say that I'm curious, what is the difference between a Django app and a Django project? And it's basically, whatever. This is one of the other powers that you have with AI, is that if it's a well-trained AI like ChatGPT, which is basically cutting edge, it's gonna be explaining what the differences are, or basically it's able to go ahead and answer your question if it's basically appropriate, and it goes into details on how you can basically utilize it, and what are some of the differences. And the benefit is it actually also does in summary. So you could see project, the entire web application and configuration. App is a modular part of the project, designed to perform specific functions and potentially be reused across multiple projects. Feel free to ask. And what I like to do is I like to always say thank you very much, because it did put in an effort, and you are asking a question, and I just feel obligated to go ahead and interact with it. So I'm not gonna go over this, but I wanted to demonstrate what the differences are. If you were basically curious, you could basically start asking some of these different components and different parts of the code and the page that you have. So this whole page that you have with ChatGPT in here, you're gonna have different conversations, different conversation pages, and etc. And this whole page is gonna, not only the whole page, but it's gonna remember some of your preferences, and basically, unless you clear the memory itself, it's gonna be able to go ahead and provide you with the answers that are kind of like based on your preferences or recommendations per se. So we're gonna go back over here, and it's gonna say, hey, I want you to go ahead and create a new app. And again, we're gonna go ahead and change that. Instead of it's gonna be my app, it's gonna be stuffed code app. Again, you can change to anything you want. I am not in the right directory. So let's go ahead and clear it, and we should be able to go ahead and do it. And as you can see, it has created our app. And now we know that the app itself is going to be basically the module for it, and then we have the web for it. They're two different things. And as you can see, you could also ask like, hey, what's the difference between the app and the web, and etc. and so forth. And if you were to go ahead and just follow it, and what I'm gonna do here is that, let's just go ahead and follow it. So my app models.py. So we're gonna come over here. As you can see, it's empty. We're just gonna go ahead and, in this case, copy it and make sure that everything is all good. We do have the models here. We're gonna be importing it from Django DB, and since that's already there, we can actually get rid of this over there. So go ahead and save that. Saying applying database migrations. Now this part here is basically, you could leave it all the way towards the end to basically make sure that you have the templates and everything all good. But you could also run it again. You could actually run it right now, but you're gonna have to go ahead and sync it up later down the line. So instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave it out, and I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to creating the views and templates. So if you have asked that question and you have these included, I'm gonna basically pause here. I'm gonna go ahead and implement these, and then we'll pick it back up afterwards. All right, and we are back basically. So I went through this and just create the view and register the app here itself under installed apps, and you do that by going to settings.py. And if you're just following the what ChatGPT gave you, you should be able to go ahead and utilize it as well. One thing here to be careful with is that it really depends on your directory structure. If you were to just copy paste this, it's not going to work. So basically what I did was I just basically got rid of that, right? Because it's gonna have to go ahead and traverse into the templates. It knows it's smart enough to go ahead and traverse into the templates and utilize home.html. So if you were to go ahead and have like stuffed code app, right, and then save it, and then if we were to go ahead and run it, it's not going to give you an immediate error here, but it's going to give you an error over here. It's going to be like, hey, can't find this, I don't know what this is. And if you were to go ahead and just be like, oh well, here's the templates, and if you go ahead and redo it, it's still not gonna know where it's at. So what you want to do is you want to get rid of it and then go ahead and rerun it afterwards. And as you can see, just a simple web app. And that's another thing, is that just like I wanted to reiterate, is that the AIs are not perfect, and it will currently make mistakes. Maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, the mistakes will be very minimal, but currently it does make decent amount of mistakes. And and another thing is, if you have changed your app name just like I did, make sure that you change it in certain places to make sure that you have changed it. And as you can see, here's the templates, and if we were to go ahead and run it, we should be able to go ahead and run it. And from here, I'm going to show you a couple more things. Like for example, if we were to say, can you add a responsive navigation menu to the web application? Now it's going to basically tell you what exactly you need to go ahead and do, and you should be able to go ahead and just follow through it. And that's one of the other benefits of this, is that if you're familiar with some of the concepts, like front end or back end, or just overall programming concepts here and there, it makes things a lot easier. And you could basically go ahead and ask it to be like, hey, just like I did, can you go ahead and make it responsive navigation for this? And then you should be able to go ahead and utilize it. And if you were to go, and it even tells you what to go ahead and update if you do need to go ahead and update it. And if you were to scroll up a little bit, it tells you what the features are, pricing, etc. Some of the naming conventions that they have said. So if you want, you could actually go ahead and change the responsive navigation menu with like, can you add a responsive navigation menu with the menu components like about etc and so forth, and then instead it will then go ahead and change these accordingly, and then you should be able to go ahead and build on top of that. And you could just keep on doing, like for example, you could be like, can you go ahead and add like a responsive blog post or something like that, along the lines of simple building blocks that you could utilize to basically go ahead and build your application, get more familiar with learning some of these components, and just overall playing around and getting more familiar with not just Python, but the ChatGPT, and how you can basically converse with it to learn and further develop your skills. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I just wanted to demonstrate the power and how you can utilize ChatGPT and AI currently to your benefit, understand its power, understand its capability, and basically just digest that it's able to make mistakes, and you know, basically try not to be scared of it, right? It does feel scary, but try not to be scared of it, and just overall understand it and hopefully build on top of it.